Hi friends, welcome back to Calm in the Chaos Homeschool. If you're new here, I'm Davine and I homeschool 4 kids ages 10, 11, 12, and 14. So next week is the first week of school for us. We are definitely doing a slow start, but I'm trying to prepare everything that I need to have or feel like I need to have prepared for the upcoming school year. So when you're watching this, we will have started our school year. And today I'm going to be walking you through how I pick the things for my morning basket based on a few criteria I have or categories I have, as well as the resources I have on hand. Today's video is also a collaboration hosted by myself and Shauna from Homegrown Homeschool. If you have not checked out her channel, you should. She is such a sweet woman and I have really enjoyed her friendship, and she just talks a lot about homeschool curriculum as well as how she homeschools. And I just love hearing about what they're doing in their life. So you should check it out. I will link it in the description box below, along with a playlist of all the other homeschool moms who are going to be talking about homeschool planning. So the topic is homeschool planning, and everyone can talk about different aspects of homeschool planning just depending on what they're doing at this moment. So if you're into planning and if you're into homeschooling, that's probably something you'll want to check out. So I will link a link to the playlist in the description box below as well. Okay, so I have to say that today is not the first time I have made this video. This is my second time through. I don't know what happened to the last video I made. I made a video talking about kind of showing all my resources and bringing you through the process of how I decide what's going in my morning basket, and I was not able to find it when I sat down to edit. So this is round 2, and I have decided on what is in my morning basket already, but I'm going to try to go back and kind of share some of the other resources I looked at and explain my choices and why I chose things. So this might be a little more succinct. It just won't be my whole process on how I decide what to put in my morning basket. So hope that's okay. Not the video I plan on making, but I think it'll be a good one anyways. I will link in the description box below links to all the resources that I mentioned here in case you want to take a look at anything yourself. I know that the morning basket is one of the last things that I plan for my homeschool. I know well in advance most of the other curriculum things that I want to do with my kids: math, language arts, science, social studies, things like that. Long time ago, I make plans for that. However, my morning basket is more maybe dynamic. It changes throughout the year, and I usually kind of have an idea of what I want to do next, or I have some resources that I'd like to cover, but I have to be realistic in what I pick to put in my morning basket. So gonna give you a quick sneak peek at my morning basket, or morning cart, more like. I'm just gonna rotate you over here, and basically here it is, my morning cart. It includes, my morning basket goes up till about here. So this first section here, as well as some things down here. So my morning basket does not include, in my mind, my morning basket does not include science, geography, history. I do include Bible. So it'll be Bible, and then it will be other things that we just rotate through. I have about, I think 11 or 12 things here. Don't do them every day. I'm gonna kind of explain how I rotate through like my Bible stuff, but in general, I will do 2 or 3 of the things that you see after my Bible stuff each day, and we just rotate through it. So it takes about a week or 2 to get to each of these items. And it just creates diversity in our home. We like variety, and just, yeah, so we don't get bored of what we're doing. So another thing is, you usually see me recording my videos kind of right here. I usually remove that cord so it's not there, but it is usually there. So I have these 2 bookshelves here behind me, but a new update is I have moved another bookshelf. This is my bookshelf that has my readers on the first, usually my first line here are my readers. That shows you that I'm not very prepared for the school year either. I usually have my kids' readers all lined up here, and I only have a few. But then I have some readers down here. These sections down here are kind of my morning basket storage. I had them here, and then we have some art supplies down there. But this shelf used to be in my daughter's room, that was kind of what I called our homeschool room, even though we didn't homeschool in there. Well, my daughters had desks in there. One of my daughters moved out of the other bedroom, so now she's downstairs. So I had to take some of my homeschool stuff out. But I did commandeer some of the closet of both my girls' bedrooms for homeschool stuff, because if you've been doing this a while, you know that it takes up room, even stuff that you're not using at the moment. Okay, so let's get into it. I'm gonna pull my morning basket a little closer here. All right, so I kind of want my morning cart in my shot a little bit here, but I'm gonna start with this second shelf here. I'm gonna just pull out what I have down here. So this is our group Bible time. So what I have here is I just have a really old Bible of mine. And what we're going to be going through is Sunlight F, just the reading for Sunlight F. It's just in order here. Looks like we're going to be going through John at the beginning, and then it tells us what verse we'll be memorizing. And so we have some CDs on tape that we'll be singing and learning scripture verse that way. So that's something that we are going to be doing every day at the beginning of the school year. Sometimes I do Sunlight and I rotate it with a Not Consumed study. That's usually a 20 lesson thing. I might do like Not Consumed once a week. I think I want to focus more on the Sunlight and just reading the Bible and memorizing scripture, but I might start adding some Not Consumed in there after we get going for a bit. So then my other resources, let me grab if I'm looking back, I'm just pulling out the resources that I considered. So here are some resources that I had on my shelf that I really want to do sometime, but yeah, I'll let you know what I decided on doing. So this one I have here, it couldn't just happen. So this talks about, let's see, knowing the truth of God's awesome creation. So it just talks about how we can kind of prove that God did create the earth, and then just different like miraculous things that happen that we can see in nature, that we can see in the human body, that just couldn't have happened by chance. So I really, really am looking forward to using this book, but I think it's going to be next year or the year after that. I'm waiting sort of for my kids to be doing more astronomy, and I think that will line up really well with that. Yeah, so I just feel like it's not the best year to do that, so I'm really looking forward to this, but we're not doing that this year. Another book that I picked up, I think it's because it is on, I don't know, some level of Sunlight. It's the Radical Book for Kids. And then I heard that it is part 2 of the Ology, and I have seen a lot of people doing the Ology with their kids. So it looks like a really fun book that I would like to get into, but it is not on our list for this year. So I'm going to tell you what is on our list this year. Okay, so we're going to be doing this, a case for a creator for kids, a case for Christ for kids, and a case for faith for kids. I think I've read A Case for Christ, the adult version, in the past. I really enjoyed it, so we are going to be doing this. Mostly we're going to be doing this because it is in our Sunlight F. It's scheduled in there. We're going to be doing it at our own pace, but I'm looking forward to doing that with my kids. So that is one of the things we'll be doing. The other thing is Indescribable. We did this our first year of homeschooling. So we took a 2-year break. And so this is 100 devotions about God and science. And what I did was I tabbed all the things that have to do with the human body and geology, because we're going to be learning about, we're going to be doing more geology around the world, and we're going to be we're continuing with the human body. So we're going to just go through and do the ones that I've tabbed here. And I think that we will be done this book. I think we did about half of it last time. We did more of the animals, and let's see, they have different sections. Oh, there's a space section that we haven't done yet. So we did all the animals 1 year, I think our first year when we used this. And now we're going to be doing the human body and anything that has to do with geology, the earth and stuff like that. All right. So the last of my 3 resources that I will be rotating through is the Children's Illustrated Bible. I got this just because some YouTube mom recommended it, and I just thought it would be cool. It has pictures, it has illustrations. So as you go through the Bible, kids can get more of an idea of what things might have looked like, just different examples. And so I just thought we would just start at the beginning of this and just start going through it either at the beginning or at the New Testament section. I haven't decided. Since we're reading, our Sunlight reading is going to be like John, so we're reading more of the New Testament. I might start in the New Testament, but I also do like the idea of just starting in the Old Testament and working our way through this. So my plan is I'm not going to do all of these every day. I will be doing Sunlight reading and the memory verse, and either that or Not Consumed. And then I will be rotating through these three. So one day we'll just do each one, and we'll just rotate through each day, and we'll just get as far as we get. I think this is probably going to take several years if we do it that way, but I feel like we will get through the Case for Christ, or these books here. It's 3 books in one, and we'll see how far we get in that. If we don't finish it, that's okay too. So that is my plan for Bible this year, and so that is on my second shelf here because I have so much. All right, so I'm just gonna start from the front here. It is in no particular order, other than I put our novels that we're gonna be reading in the front. And then I do try to space out my morning basket so that we do something like reading and then something hands-on, and then reading and hands-on. So I try to kind of go through those so that each day we're not doing too much of one type of thing. And as I go through the rotation, I will adjust as I feel the day calls for. So if I don't really feel like doing the next thing, I might save that for the day after that, and just I make judgment calls as we go. But all right, so our first read aloud of the year is going to be Katie Woodlawn. I think I did read this as a child. I am not sure. Yeah, I don't really remember it, so that should be interesting. So that's our first read aloud. And I have another read aloud here, and it's called She Touched the World, Laura Bridgman, Deaf Blind Pioneer. This is more for science because we are learning about senses. So we did the eyesight, and now we're going to be doing the sense of hearing, and so learning about people who are deaf. And then the reason why I have 2 read alouds right now. So I'm not sure, hasn't happened yet, but I've been talking with another mom. She's a single mom who homeschools her child, and her child, I think, is going into 3rd grade, and she might be joining us during our school time, maybe twice a week, up to twice a week. The schedule's not totally set in stone yet. So she's going to be bringing some work that she has from her mom, and then I asked if it was okay if she joined us with our group time. So if I'm going to have a 3rd grader joining us, I just picked a few subjects that would work best for her, so we can do those subjects when she's with us. So not set in stone, but that is a possible plan. So we will be doing science and health when she's with us, and so that would be the read aloud that we do when she's here. So we'd only be doing 1 read aloud each day, about 10-15 minutes usually. All right, so the next thing here, I have placeholders. So my picture study. All right, so I do have that. I just have to stick it in the back because it doesn't fit in this bin. I have a bin here just to keep things more contained and things don't fall over quite as much. So sometimes I have to put some things in the back here that are also morning baskets. So the picture study we're going to be doing this year is Da Vinci. It is a Charlotte Mason portfolio picture study. You've probably seen this before. I did do one last year, so we'll be going through, oh, it has a little booklet here about Da Vinci, so I'll just see. Sometimes I'll read a little bit from there, not always, and then we just look at pictures, so we're going to be doing that. I would like to get another set of these, so I'm probably just going to keep my eyes open on Facebook and see if anyone is getting rid of their portfolios or borrow from a friend. So far, that's kind of how we've done it. So yeah, so we might do another one this year, but that is the one we're starting with. And if we only do one, that's okay too. All right, so next I have this, and that goes along with, I have 4 of these books. So these are kind of a continuation. I don't know if it continues the Tuttle twins story or not, but it's by the same guy who produces the Tuttle twins. We did those last year, so we learned about law and the economy and free market and things like that. So that was very interesting. The kids really enjoyed that. So this is sort of a middle school set that the guy who created Tuttle twins created. So in there we have logical fallacies, we have courageous heroes, we have beware of your bias, and we have inspiring entrepreneurs. I really wanted to start doing a bit of logic with my kids. Okay, so I have another resource here. So the other resource I have is the fallacy detective. This is very common in homeschool circles. I wanted to wait a little bit. I felt like I just wanted my kids to be a little older before we did this. So we are going to be starting with Tuttle Twins Logical Fallacies. I did check to see if there was a certain order that these were recommended to be in, but I didn't see any order. So we're going to be doing that first. And then if we finish that, or when we finish that, we will continue with Beware Your Bias. And I don't know, we probably won't get to these other two next year. I do have a lot of books that are stories or biographies or things like that. So that sounds like that's kind of that category. So I think I probably have too much in that category to get to this year, but we'll see. It might be something we do next year. So then after that, I have another placeholder. It says poetry. So I'm gonna pull out our poetry from the back here. Okay, so this is our poetry. We were doing it last year. We started midway and we're going to continue. Looks like we're about almost halfway through. So we might start another poetry this year, but this is sort of what we're going to be starting with. Usually it has a CD that I don't have here right now. It's probably somewhere on my cart, but it just talks about different forms of poetry and we have been enjoying it. So we're going to continue with that. So next I have this, Brave Heroes and Bold Defenders. So this is sort of that biography sort of section, stories about people. I had a ton of these resources. Let's see what else I have. So I have a ton of these sort of resources and I did pick a few. You're going to see more as we go along. But some other options that I had was this one, Courageous World Changers, 50 True Stories of Daring Women of God, and these sort of go together. The thing is, I feel like we're going to be doing a lot of stories that focus more on women. So I wanted to take this one out and balance it out a bit and do something for my boys. So this is the one I chose to add to our rotation. Two other things that I'm not going to do because I picked other things, not going to do at first. We might move into this if we finish these other things. I have Usborne Tales of Brave and Brilliant Girls from Around the World. I do want to get to this. We are going to be doing world geography, continue world geography this year, so this would go really well. And then I also have Usborne's Illustrated Stories from China, and I want to do that once we hit China in our world geography. And many of you know that one of my daughters is adopted from Taiwan, and I grew up in Taiwan, so even though this is about China, they do have a lot of shared folk tales and stories, so I'm sure that I will be able to remember some of the ones that I learned growing up, and it'll be nice for her to hear some of the traditional stories from China, which does apply to Taiwan in some sense. So as we go along, you'll see what I actually decided to pick before I do those. So I did pick this one just for my boys to have something more relatable for them. So next I have, once again, The Good and the Beautiful, Draw Vintage Images. We have level 2 and 3 that we're working on. So we're just going to keep doing that. It's something easy that my kids can do while I'm reading to them. So it usually pairs very well with reading a story or something. They can start on that while I'm reading. And so here's the one I picked out of, basically out of these three, the Brave and Brilliant Girls, the stories from China. I decided to start this year with Forgotten Fairy Tales of Brave and Brilliant Girls. I just feel like fairy tales are a fun way to start the school year. So my plan is to finish this off and then move into those other ones. So we're just going to start the year with that. So this is sort of the fairy tales we'll be doing here. Yeah, so it should be interesting, and I think it'll be a fun way to start the school year. Next, I have Mad Libs. So just something fun to have in there. My kids really enjoy it when it's Mad Lib Day, and we just get to work on nouns and pronouns and adjectives and adverbs, and it's just a fun way to review all that for my kids. So I don't know how I got this one, but I just happened to have it, so I threw it in my morning basket. So another book that is kind of a book of stories is the Book of Virtues. We did start this back, I don't know, probably 2 years ago, and we did enjoy it. It's a mix of poetry and short stories that have morals. It is a bit older, so it's a little different, but we did enjoy it, and I just thought we'd just get started on it again. So I just decided to put that in my morning basket this year. All right, next is my placeholder for Word Up. I don't have anything to show you about that, but it is an online vocabulary program. It is a vocabulary show that the kids enjoy watching, and they're learning new vocabulary. There are 3 levels. We're on level 2. I would say more than halfway through level 2. So we should be able to finish it this year, and it's just a fun, something different to do, and can teach my kids some new vocabulary. Next, I have this here, Me and My Feelings. So this past year, I focused a lot on feelings and emotions, and we had several books that we read. This was the 5th of the 5 books that I had planned on covering. I got through 4, so that is not bad. So this is the last one, so we're just going to continue doing a little bit on emotions and feelings and stuff. So that is kind of what it looks like. Yeah, so that's the next thing there. All right, another placeholder one here for Pilgrim's Progress or The Dangerous Journey. It is a slightly younger reader edition, and it has some beautiful pictures. So we are going to be doing this, The Dangerous Journey, the story of Pilgrim's Progress. Okay, and we are to my last placeholder here that says Handicrafts. Basically, our Handicrafts is just going to be continuing the Bestowing the Brush course that I purchased online last year. So she has different sections. We were doing brushwork, so learning just how to do watercolor and things like that. And we never got to the chalk drawing and charcoal drawing portions of that course. So we're going to be doing that this year. I'm probably not going to do that quite as often as the rest of these, maybe every other week. That's sort of how I planned it. Last time we did it on a Friday every other week, and that worked out pretty well for us. My kids probably will be taking art with our parent partnership program, so that's usually how they get most of their art in. And then my daughter, who's really artistic, she will be doing her own art course. So we don't do a lot of art here in our home. Kids do it more independently as they want to do it. So yeah, that is my morning basket lineup. If you've not used a morning basket before, or maybe you have used a morning basket before, that may seem like a ton of stuff, but really we just do I would say between 1 and 3 of these after we do our devotions. Just depends on the time. We spend a certain amount of time, and when people get antsy, then we take a break and move on to our group subjects. So it's nothing really that I have to plan out. Once I have it here, I don't have to plan it out. I just kind of go through the rotation. The only time I might start planning it out a bit is if we're getting to the end of the year and I can kind of see that our morning basket times are sort of dwindling and I want to get through certain things. I'll kind of prioritize those things and maybe make them happen more often. But other than that, it's pretty casual. We just go through. It just adds a lot of variety in our homeschool. So if you like videos like this, don't forget to give me a like and subscribe and hit the bell notification so you're notified of future videos. I love homeschool planning, so I'm going to be trying to get more homeschool planning videos out to you. It's a bit harder. I don't know. I'm finding it very hard this year to get the videos recorded for you. Having a hard time lining up my feeling like planning and good recording times. It's just, yeah, that's a bit of a struggle this year, but I will try to get some more planning videos out to you. Thank you for watching this video, and don't forget to check the link below to see what all the other homeschool moms are doing for homeschool planning. I am definitely very excited about that playlist. I will be watching it myself. So thanks for coming, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye, everybody.